is Wednesday, even though I told everyone by putting the wrong date of Thursday on the show that it would be Tuesday this week. It is Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern, daylight savings time. And once again, I don't know what we're saving it for, but we'll find out maybe this winter. 5 p.m. on the West Coast, and we're live. Welcome, adventurers. I'm your guide, Sean McZoo, and this is the Reptile Show reporter. As usual, Bill Strand, the headmaster of the Community Academy, is my co-host. And we have a special guest tonight, Two Turtle Tom, which the podcast number 25 went live yesterday because I was able to get it edited and up and what have you. Go and check it out. Tonight, we're going to be discussing one of the rabbit holes that exotic pet care people leads us to, that exotic pets lead us down. And that's the environments that they live in and where they're from and all about it. And we get into plants and rocks and all kinds of different stuff. But first, before we get into that, I do want to make mention that today is 9/11. 23 years ago, something terrible happened to our country on this day. I won't get into the whole thing. I just want to make sure that we don't ever forget it. Only 2 of my 5 kids were even alive back then. So it gets like World War II and all that other stuff that we don't, December 7th doesn't mean much to most of us, but it does to the World War II vets. But anyways, I'm going to get on with the video and we'll be right back. We're actually going to sit and dance while we get the video going. Well, one thing is true. It is blatantly obvious that we never practiced dancing together. Neither Bill
wouldn't matter.
Or even Tom. We're in sync. I don't even know if any of us were in sync with the video, but all right, let's go to the comments to start with, and we'll welcome everybody. James Cross is there. Hey, wait a minute. Two Turtle Tom, you're in the comments as well.
Right. I'm everywhere.
All right, so James Cross
both sides.
is the only commenter. So I did start to watch the video this morning, Bill, of you and James, and I got distracted. All the things going on in life today. I just got too distracted. All right, there's James. Thanks for joining, James. I should have had him on, then we could have been all 4 of us in 4 squares. But I didn't ask, so there we go. All right, so let's see. First, any announcements, Bill?
Nothing in particular.
Wow.
Talking about UVB this week. That's the topic, and we're going to be having a video tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Pacific. And we're going to start talking about UVB and start directly addressing some things that we hear on social media. So
wait a minute, you can't believe everything that's happening on social media, Bill?
People actually around the bush.
Oh man! All right, so
time to make friends.
Tom, any announcements?
My good mic cut out. But there's a new episode of the Let's Talk Turtles podcast just released today. And Ryan and I interview Jordan Danini. He's a professor at Southwest Florida State, I believe is the university down there in Fort Myers. He works with turtles, diamondback terrapins, Florida box turtles. He does radio tracking. Really cool interview, really cool dude. And he also keeps turtles and tortoises. So check it out. Let's talk turtles.
All right, great. And as I mentioned before, podcast 25 is live. It's the follow-up interview of Two Turtle Tom. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and others. All right, so we already did the video. Let's talk about the topic for tonight. So you get a pet. You see something cool at a reptile show. You see something in the zoo you like to have, or you see an ad on Craigslist, or what's the one that you get animals from? I guess there's a bunch of them, but
Morph Market.
Morph Market, yes, that's the one I like most. But you find something really cool and then you grab it. And then you got to put it in something or it just runs around your house. I mean, sometimes dogs and cats can run around your house or little goats and what have you. I guess little goats would be exotic pets,
Goats.
what have you. But why do I keep saying the what have you? I'm going to try to stop that tonight. All right. And then you start learning about where it's from and what temperatures there are and what kind of plants are there, the food it eats and other creatures that are there, rainfall, sunshine, and you're falling deep down into this endless pit of things to learn about. And then you learn about the area, the country, the government, the everything else that has to do it. And that's seems to be a quite the adventure.
Well, in January, I'm leading a group of chameleon enthusiasts that have gone down that rabbit hole and said, hey, let's go to Madagascar.
I know, Bill. Wow, that is a rabbit hole. You're not even going to go to the rabbit hole. You're going to just go to the country itself, country of origin. Why Madagascar rather than someone like Kenya? Like most of the chameleons you like are from Kenya.
Oh,
Well, I guess the latest crew is from Madagascar, but
Madagascar is uniquely suited to tourism, ecotourism. That's people. There's no venomous reptiles, so you can tromp around.
That's good. That's great.
Unlike every other place, and there's such a wide variety of chameleons there. It's easy. Now, you can. I mean, Tanzania would be a good place to go. Kenya would be a good place to go. So there are other places, but Madagascar, that's where most of the chameleon species are. So,
I mean, Australia would be awesome if I wanted to check out frilled dragons or bearded dragons or things like that. That would be really awesome. Of course, they do have poisonous stuff out there or venomous stuff out there. Yes.
And I will say that most of the chameleons that are coming over here right now are from Madagascar. And so that is the trip that I am going specifically covers as many of those species as possible because I'm a herpetoculturist. And so I want a trip that will benefit and educate me in my herpetoculture. So this can do it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I wish I could go, but the wedding and the well-being of myself, having had that stroke 2 years ago and not wanting to be somewhere where, I'm sure that the healthcare is good. And I know you told me stories about the sanitation. So there we go. But Mexico will be the same. But
there is elements of adventure there.
Yeah, it's elements of adventure. Have to going up and down. And I'm going to save my cross-world travel to Australia or New Zealand, maybe. I don't know. Are there any there's probably venomous stuff in New Zealand, I'm sure.
I don't think there's any snakes in New Zealand at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
I might be wrong about that, but I don't believe there's a single snake in New Zealand.
Well, even though I talk about how there's no venomous reptiles, I never hear about people going and enjoying and looking for chameleons and getting bit by a snake. So I think that concern is overrated, but also we walk around at night and we're not worried at all about a leopard taking one of us out.
All right. Mikey Ben is here. So we'll say hello to him. Since we're not doing any rules, we're going to do Mikey Ben and the Canadians. There we go. So there we go. Okay. All right. And although, Bill, downstairs in my basement this morning, I was feeding my chameleons and an ambelope, the biggest one I have, tried to get away and I had to put him back in his cage and he did bite me and draw blood. But
there's elements of danger.
It was,
certainly.
I don't even remember what finger it was at this point. It really hasn't. It didn't cause that much trauma. I'm sure it was my left hand because that's what I grabbed him was because I'm left-handed. But I don't even see the area. There was scrapes and a little bit of bleeding. But
wow.
yes,
I've wild Ustaleti, wild panther chameleons, and well, they didn't bite me, Sean. So I don't know
You know
what's
what?
going on.
He's never bitten me before.
You breed them mean.
I've held him multiple times, and it's just because he comes out and I hold him and do whatever. I don't try to hold chameleons normally because that's not the thing to do. But he was outside. He was on the door, and I had to feed him, and I was in a little bit of a hurry, and I had to put him back in. And he's like, okay, he's huge for a even for a panther chameleon. He's a big chameleon. So. But anyways, he did.
Yeah, you
draw
feed
blood.
him human blood.
Yes. Yeah. It didn't. I didn't even feel pain. He was like, "Oh, did he bite me? Oh, I guess he did."
Well,
but I'm
still recovering from the panther that ate me.
Keep him like behind his head and kind of give him not enough room to bite me. But apparently, I gave him enough. So, all right. Sev Green Reptiles. Chris is here, and Eliza Ann is here. And I'm sorry once again that I said the wrong date on the show. If anyone ever even noticed, because I got here 30 minutes before the show started and realized that I had put yesterday's date down, and it didn't. It's luckily this StreamYard allows you to put it out. You change the date even after the show's been going on. And Eliza Ann and my short-term memory is not very good today. Oh, Chris. Yes. Chris Green. There we are. All right. There's Chris. All right. So, yes.
Well,
StreamYard, and actually,
I got a pretty bad panther bite
mm-hmm.
because I put my hand in the cage and it got so excited about the food that it knew came with my hand that it zapped my hand. And when my hand didn't go back to him, he came to it and took a chunk out of my
holy mackerel.
It's like, and then it all just happened like that before I could do anything. All of a sudden,
that's a really sticky tongue there, Bill, that he was so stuck that he thought your hand was very delicious and he wasn't going to let it go.
My hand had crickets in it, and he apparently couldn't tell the difference between the crickets and the knuckle. And yeah, he took a chunk out.
All right. Okay, Tom, why don't you talk a little bit about pets and environments and what you need what you learn. And don't give away the whole podcast. Actually, we talk about a whole bunch of other things than pets in the environment. But
well, let's talk about seasons.
Okay, seasons. That's a good answer.
Wow.
We're very used to seasons here in Ohio, and we don't really have a dry or a wet season, right? We have a really cold and a really hot, and they're both wet. Lots of snow in the winter, lots of rain in the summer, hopefully. But some of the animals I keep come from the tropics, but it's not always wet all the time in the tropics, right? And so some of my hinchback tortoises come from West Africa and the savannas there, for same place ball pythons come from. For 6 months out of the year, the forests and the savannas are green, lush green. It's raining basically all summer, and the same time as our summers here. But in the winter, instead of the leaves falling off the trees because it gets cold, they fall off because it's dry. And it looks totally different on the African savanna in West Africa during the winter, during the dry season. It's a little cooler, but it just doesn't rain. So those animals slow down. And just like in the wild, our homes here in Ohio, we have these forced air furnaces in the winter, right? So when those start to kick up, everything gets really, really dry in our houses. And the tortoises just think they're back home and they start slowing down and they won't eat. So every winter, about this time, when it starts to get cold and people's furnaces kick on, they jump on my hinchback group and say, why did my hinchback stop eating? Why isn't it moving? Why did it just suddenly pretend it doesn't live? And that's why it's all about the seasons and them responding to this drastic change. It's hard to imagine what it looks like until you see a photo of the dry season in and then the wet season, same photo, kind of like same place, taken side by side. And Bill, you may have observed this in Madagascar, or may happen, but you're only going there during one of those seasons.
Yeah, I'm going there during the wet season. And I keep in the back of my mind, I know I want to go back during the dry season because there's the different dry season experiences in Madagascar from, okay, it's a little cooler and a little less rain to it is absolutely dry, and any animal that doesn't dig themselves into the ground to wait it out is dead. So I'd like to experience the extremes and get an idea of what they're going through, because as if I don't know if you heard listen to the podcast that I did with you and Edwards, where he talked about the dry season of Madagascar, and even though it's very harsh, the chameleons are slowing down, and so they get a rest. It's not a I mean, yes, it's harsh, but it is a rest for 6 months. And so what would happen if we in captivity gave our chameleons a rest for 6 months? Good question. And I don't have an answer, but good question.
And so for our hinchbacks, sometimes we just do let them kind of chill. You closely monitor their weight, make sure they're still drinking, but they might not eat for a couple months. And that's absolutely not unusual. But someone is asking in the chat about the taipan incident in South Carolina. And I don't know about you guys, but that was all over my feed. And I don't know. I don't even know how it came to be all over my feed. So some free-handling snake guy in South Carolina got bit by his inland taipan. And apparently this guy brags that he doesn't keep anti-venom for anything. And he got bit. I haven't heard what happened, but I mean, anybody that I know that kept snakes was talking about that. So.
I don't know what's up with your feed. You must have been watching a bunch of snake bite things or whatever or something.
Facebook. I had it all over Facebook.
That you're a snake. You don't even have snakes in your house, right? Correct? You have zero snakes because there's no rodents. So something you can learn if you listen to the podcast, but you have zero snakes. Yep. Or maybe it wasn't. Well, yeah, you did say it during the podcast, but I forget. I'm using the same computer as I was editing the podcast. So you're there and I'm here.
Yeah, this guy made it really easy to go viral because of all the smack talking he did and all the making fun of people that had anti-venom, saying that they were inappropriate language to describe them, questioning their manhood, shall we say.
Well,
and,
that
was like a week before he got bit.
You always set yourself up when you do that kind of stuff. So I am not surprised.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of sympathy out there for him.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure. So yeah, maybe I should go figure out how to get to New Caledonia. I don't know if they'd want me there, but
oh yeah, you got to go there. We're going there. My family, my kids have relatives in New Caledonia. And I'm not kidding.
So these are your wife's relatives, or
yeah, totally.
Okay, you're like my kids have relatives.
Yeah.
I guess I could see. Yeah, my kids have relatives in Western Ohio, but
yeah. Okay. Yeah, no. We're gonna go.
That's awesome.
The boy's great grandmother went to New Caledonia when she was 87 years old to meet her long lost relatives. Literally, this guy in the 1860s left Brooklyn on a ship, sailed around the world, ended up in the Loyalty Islands off New Caledonia, and sired half the people on the island right now.
Sired half the people now.
Yeah.
I love the way you say that.
I'll send you guys
that's in reptile terms.
I'll put in the chat. Well, I'll send you guys. Maybe I'll put it in my community feed in my YouTube, a video where the the people from Lifu, which is one of these islands off the coast of New Caledonia, came to New York in 2015, and we hosted them. And yeah, it was super cool. Anyways, I'm gonna go there. I've been to Australia. I've been to Borneo. I've been to Korea. All awesome places.
That's awesome. All right. So, have you ever been to Africa where your hingebacks are from?
Nope, never been to Africa or Europe. I want to get to Africa. It's a tough place to go. You know, you gotta pick your spots.
Are any
carefully.
hingebacks as far north as Kenya?
Oh yeah. In fact, during the pandemic, this new hingeback started showing up in the United States, and they are from Kenya. And nobody can figure them out. We think they have this horrible coccidia that lives in the nucleus of a turtle cell. Not just lives in the cell, but lives in the nucleus. And but yeah, I'd love to go to Kenya. I'd love to go to West Africa, South Africa. Hingeback tortoises are pretty much all throughout sub-Saharan Africa, except like Namibia and the western half of South Africa. But they go from Angola to Somalia, and then all the way down the southern coast, like, you know, through the Congo and into Zimbabwe and Zambia and Mozambique and then the eastern part of South Africa.
So Liza Ann is asking about your trip to China, but we talked about it on this live show, didn't we?
Korea, yeah. I think we
Korea,
talked.
Yeah, that wasn't okay. Okay.
I may be going to
China. But
I may be going to China in 2025. We'll see.
Okay. Wow.
I'll find out more in October.
Is that plant related or?
Yep.
Okay.
I am the treasurer of something called the North America China Plant Exploration Consortium.
Does that have like two people, you and somebody else, and the president, or?
There's about 12 of us or 10 of us. It's you know, it's the Arnold Arboretum, the Morton Arboretum, University of British Columbia Arboretum, and a bunch of others. And yeah, we get together and talk about East Asian plants and make sure we're not bringing anything invasive back.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so I may go to China. We'll see.
James says we're going through African airspace in January. Does that count?
Yes.
We are specifically not going through Kenya this time.
Yeah, I remember.
Madagascar is part of Africa, right? I mean, it's an island.
Yeah, technically. I mean, most biogeographers consider it part of Africa.
Bill disagrees, apparently.
It's very distinct. But
let me see what the internet says, because the internet is final.
Finally, yeah. And AI is going to take us all over.
I mean, it's clearly distinct. Clearly distinct, right? But it's
but creatures can fly,
it's
and they're
more Africa than any other place.
So,
there's a lot of vegetation affinities with Africa. You know, there's that weird Asian influence as well, because Madagascar floated across, I think, from India or something like that. But
there we go.
But
all right, Bill, what'd you learn?
Yeah, what do we got, Bill? Prove me wrong.
AI is saying yes, but as I never trust AI the first time. I mean, everybody is saying
never trust AI at all. Verify AI.
You know,
that's
it's
the way
like
it should be.
It's like if you go to Madagascar, I don't think you can say you went to Africa. But I mean, that's just kind of silly. But the biogeography, it's a part of Africa when you're thinking about Africa and the islands associated with it. That's what I
got a map of Africa and it's got Madagascar on it, so I don't know. That's what Rand McNally or whoever the person who made the map believes Africa is there.
All right, I don't know. You know, they talk about about 180 million years ago, Madagascar split from Africa.
Oh, it did split from Africa. Okay.
What?
It did.
Alright,
I was thinking it came from the east or something, but no,
They did
that's wrong.
say a big
Some people
river
there did.
happened. They said it split from Africa.
Yeah.
So
I
deep,
don't
deep down, it's
Deep
part of
down.
Africa.
Yeah.
Deep down.
Right.
There's
You
a
go
lot of
far enough
similarities.
down into the water between the Africa and
You do
Madagascar.
some
you'll
soul
get there.
searching.
Yeah.
You'll find.
Oh.
All right. All right. This is not exactly
It's
how
a-
I thought this was going to go tonight, but
It
James
never
says
does.
it's a big old chunk of Africa. It is.
All right.
It is. It is a big old chunk of Africa. And as we know, and this is important to talk about. Know the geography of the countries, right? Kenya and Tanzania, they have this giant rift valley on their western borders, and so just like Africa split off, like all of East Africa is currently in the process of splitting off from Africa, and maybe you'll have another giant island to explore in 100 million years.
Fine.
I don't think even as well as I'm dieting and exercising, I don't think I'll be around for that.
Cryogenics. You got to freeze
never know.
yourself, Sean. Maybe
AI is going to wipe us all out anyway. So, how many movies do we have to watch and see that all the different movies about how computers are going to kill us all off, and we just keep trying.
That's right. Question for Bill.
Mhm.
Dave Kaufman went on your first Madagascar trip, right?
That is correct.
So, and Dave, he's kind of famous for traveling around the world, doing YouTube videos, and kind of showing some of the environmental parameters at
That is
those
exactly what
places.
he does.
And the challenge with what he does is he's taking single measurements in single places, and it's interesting what temperature it is the day he visits, but it's one piece of data, and you really need many more pieces of data to make any definitive conclusion.
Come to Cleveland, Ohio, August 13th, or come to Cleveland, Ohio, January 13th, and you'll see two different lands.
I don't know what to say to that. I will pass along your concern. Yeah, this is, but you're right. No matter when we're there, I mean, when I was there, they were saying, "Are you bringing thermometers and UVB meters and all that?" I know, I'm not, because that. But that is, let's bring up, there is a problem. There's actually a problem with bringing a thermometer or something, because once you have a data point, once there's a number in black and white, it lives forever, and that becomes the definition of the entirety of the area that you went to. And so you got to be really careful about taking measurements. But James Cross is going to be watching temperature, humidity, and UVB every day while in Madagascar, whether it counts or not.
Okay.
He's saying
We just told him why it's not a good idea, and he's going to do it anyways.
He's going to, when Bill's not looking, James is going to take out his entire weather station and start recording stuff. He's going to sneak out at night when no one's looking. That darn Bill is.
What I would do, when I see the animals, I would take their temperature. I think that would be very interesting. Take their temperature at night, take their temperature in the daytime, and just see, and take as many readings as you can to see what the deviation is, right? What the range really is.
Yeah. I'll also say, though, what is incredibly educational is to measure the relative temperatures. And so when we're walking through the outside of the forest saying, wow, it's in the 90s, but then we go into the forest where we find the Parsons chameleons and we realize it's down into the upper 70s. That is incredibly relevant and important, because that tells us yes, when the weather station says it's in the 90s, these chameleons and other reptiles have found microclimates that are drastically different.
Absolutely.
So that's when we're going to have James bring out all of his equipment, because you take the measurement here, you walk 10 feet over there and find it's really different. That's when you start your eyes start opening up and going, "Ooh, I see how this is complicated."
James, don't be climbing any trees, for goodness sakes. We don't want to hear about how you broke your arm and leg and had to be life flighted out of Madagascar to the United States or nearest country that knows what the heck they're doing with stuff.
We'll bring Band-Aids.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll help.
Yeah, James is old school. We'll just rub dirt in it and walk it off.
No, he's also old like us, Bill. He's older than us. He's going to break really easy, even though he does all that good work.
I'll bring duct tape.
Duct tape. And if you bring duct tape, then you got to bring Flex Seal, because what if you start bleeding and you need to stop it? So there you go. I don't recommend Flex Seal. Make sure you know that. Actually, super glue was created to stop bleeding in World War II. It's no longer used for that purpose, but that was created. That's why there's dermal glue in medicine, because the dermal glue is just the super glue sterilized and put in a container and made purple. I don't know why purple, but that's what it is.
If you do use Flex Seal, just make sure you use the silicone first. That's what I learned today.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Okay. Flex Seal.
Still use super glues. James still uses super glue for cuts at work.
I mean, realistically, cuts aren't clean. And even though you try to sterilize them, they're not clean. As long as it's clean, it's not a sterile procedure to repair a wound. It's actually a clean procedure. There's a difference, and I won't go into the whole thing today. But yeah, and I've used duct tape forever to repair things. I used to go into into different places, duct tape and tissues and everything else before I was a physician, and repair things when I was doing construction.
Repaired what? I'm talking about repairing James.
Well, I didn't repair James, but I repaired myself.
There's sticks, duct tape. We'll make a splint. He can finish up the trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then you get infection, but okay.
I see James like in the evenings providing carpentry services to the local community or something like that. That's what I see James doing. Going around and fixing things for people.
We'll have weekly shows.
He's such
James,
a nice guy.
The DIY Madagascar guy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he is such a nice guy. I could see him. Like, hey, we stayed at this hotel. I think I can spruce this up a little bit.
The problem is there's no Home Depot, I don't think, in Madagascar. Is there?
He's crafty.
I don't think, but they got hardware stores. I'm sure he'll bring stuff with him. I mean, we'll drive by and there's some.
He's not even going to go on this trip. All the stuff he's going to put in his luggage, he's going to get stopped by the TSA, and he's going to be on the no-fly list and everything.
Oh, that's funny.
He's going to say, "Do you know who I am?" And some guy in the back is going to go, "Fogfather! Oh man, come on through." We're going to be there. We're going to see some poor chameleon sitting there in the sun and thirsty, and he's going to pull out a fogger and put it there for the little guy.
The Fogfather. Oh man,
I've never used Flex Seal, and I'm scared to use it after watching today's video.
Seal. I've never been a fan of those kind of patches and things like that. I really love it. You spray it on and it takes care of stuff. I mean, you could spray it on, you could goop it on, you could tape it on. It's all kinds of stuff, and it seems to be inert and benign.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't put it in my drinking water stuff, but
it just seals the wood. Does not seal any cracks. That's what I learned.
Well, sealing the cracks.
Well, if you seal the cracks, I mean, you can seal the cracks on the wood, but you can't. It's complicated.
Not the cracks between the wood.
You can with Flex Seal.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. You didn't watch the video.
Oh, Apparently, I didn't. You did, but you didn't do. But then you didn't do a good job because I've done it before.
Fine, whatever.
I've done it. I've sealed things with Flex Seal on both sides.
Fine.
I have.
Boy, I
done it.
can't even screw up right.
Okay, Bill's the one who did it. Now you're. I thought that we were talking about something that James did. Bill screwed up. Okay, I believe that.
What the?
You're just not a construction guy for 30 years or something like that. You haven't been doing it. You don't know any terms. You don't. I know a lot more than, and I'm haven't done construction since I don't know, before the turn of the century.
I know the difference between a through hole and a pilot hole.
And so does all my children. I'm sure Abigail could tell you the difference between a through hole and a pilot hole.
Wow,
I don't know how we get her to say it, but she could probably tell you. We'd have to give her two options and let her pick.
Does it rain every day in Madagascar during the wet season? Are those chameleons getting a daily rain like we give them when we missed?
They do get a daily rain, and they get it a number of times during the day, and depending upon where they are. Yeah, I mean it's just all. But the thing is, it's always humid, and so they're not getting right. They don't need the rain every day. They don't need all of that rain because it's so humid. And I mean, it's really looking like the key to chameleon hydration is that they don't get dehydrated and they just live in this constant state of enjoying this constant state of hydration.
Yeah, because every time we breathe, right, Sean, we exhale, we're giving away water.
Yes.
So if you're living in a real high humidity environment, it's a no net loss.
You inhale moisture as well.
Yeah.
But your nose, the purpose why you're supposed to breathe through your nose, not through your mouth, is because your nose humidifies everything, and that's the way it's supposed to work. So, but not most people don't. But
I just remember
you can relax yourself by breathing through your nose and out your mouth.
Yeah, I just remember those first couple days in your last trip to Madagascar. You just looked humid. You could just see it in the video.
Yep. And at night, after a certain midnight or something, you can't even use a flash on your camera because it just bounces off the fog.
Oh wow,
that thick.
It's nearly 100% humidity.
But that's in Runamapana. In a rainforest, there are other areas where it doesn't get that thick, and so going to Madagascar, you start experiencing all these different areas and different experiences that the chameleons have. So it's wonderful.
A few years back, I was in the rainforest of Puerto Rico, and I experienced what it's like to be really soaking wet. I thought I knew soaking wet. I learned it. I went ziplining there, and boy, you just couldn't even see. It was sheets of water, but you could hold on. So that was really.
Excuse me, could I do a community service?
I don't know.
Kiki wants to know the difference, and I would like to tell Kiki the difference between a through hole and a pilot hole. I'll say,
are you going to get it right, Bill?
Well, we're about to find out now, aren't we? Okay. So a through hole is a hole that you drill through the wood or whatever, so the screw can pass all the way through without grabbing with the threads. Whereas a pilot hole is about half the diameter of the screw. And so it guides the screw in so it can catch with the threads. And so if you're putting two pieces of wood together, you do a through hole through the top one and then a pilot hole through the bottom one. And that allows the top board to be sandwiched together tightly. Whereas if the top one had the threads catch, you could actually make them go apart. There you go.
That's a good tip.
If you put the through hole in the second board, he doesn't hold.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that's the
Well, now that you don't know how to use Flex Seal, we got to go back to the basics, Bill.
Well, I know how to use Flex Seal now. If you watch the video, you would see the lesson that I got.
I got homework. I can't even go to
It is
bed
part of
tonight.
lessons learned.
I started it. I was watching it, and I got distracted with all these other things. It wasn't by the feed of someone I didn't even hear about the snake guy. I don't know what I was looking at. But
I don't know where you've been, Sean.
I don't know.
I made sure I watched it before I came on today.
Yeah.
I just watched it. It was funny. And James was so matter of fact. Well, that's because you forgot the silicone, Bill.
Wait a minute. Mikey Ben, what do you mean? Impressive, Bill. See, James, he dies. Listen.
He does listen.
He does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
well, see, Sean, when you watch the video, you'll see that I missed a very important part I skipped a part because I didn't think it was important for the way I was doing it. And
I'm guessing that you didn't draw
That's worse.
a through hole and a pilot hole, and you didn't connect the two pieces of board very well.
I
And the
connected the
Flex
two
Seal
pieces of
didn't
board
do the
just
job.
fine, but I didn't put
the
a
board
bead of
couldn't move.
silicone between the connections. And my Flex Seal did not fill up the connections between the wood pieces, even though I gopped on the Flex Seal, and there was just like this mound of Flex Seal in the corner. Sorry. So I needed to do the silicone, which James did, and I said, oh, I don't need to do that because I'm not doing the plastic coroplast lining in my drainage tray, so I don't need the silicone seal. That was incorrect.
So be it.
I just have to say that I live in the rubber capital of the world, Akron,
Yes.
Ohio. So
Yes, you do.
Flex Seal makes me happy. we have chemical and polymer places all around here.
Okay, well then you probably enjoyed the tour of James's garage,
Yeah, absolutely.
where he had a complete store stock shelf up there of different forms of Flex Seal.
Absolutely.
I haven't gone that far yet, Bill. So I have almost every tool imaginable to man, but or woman or anyone else, but I don't have the Flex Seal. I actually probably have a one part of everything at Home Depot in the basement. So I always buy, when I'm going to do plumbing, I buy 3 of everything. And so when I get home, I don't need to go back for a 25-cent piece. And then I never take them back. That's the problem. That's where I fall short. I don't bother to take them back because it was 25 cents and I'm going to spend an hour taking something back for 25 cents. And then, wow.
It's always good to buy a little extra.
So it's always good to have some, but I don't really stock it very well. So there we go.
Yeah, see, Exotic Bob's. You see, he says, if I remember correctly, the plastic bottom was only an added security, not required. Exactly, and that's what I thought. My mistake was thinking that the silicone was because of the plastic, not the wood. And it would, if I put it on the wood, I would have had a successful drainage tray, not the
James Cross is much like my father when he did construction. The perfect example that wasn't construction, but he made my brothers a bunk bed out of 2x8s and 8x8s. Not even 4x4s, or right now it's like 3/4 by 1.5 is what they make them out of. He made it out of 8x8s and 2x8s. Imagine this. You could have put an elephant on that thing and it wouldn't have fallen through. Now, I don't know how you get the elephant onto the bed-size thing, but there you go.
There it is.
All
James
right.
also ensured Bill that it needed to look good as well.
That is correct.
Okay.
He was not going to let you get away with that.
I call this Night Fury.
I think you should call it trial number 1 or something like that. Experiment 1 or what do you call it when it's the first time you mess up and then you go do something better?
But boy, so anyway.
Mhm. All right. We've had enough fun at Bill's expense today. I didn't even watch a video, and I still had fun at Bill's expense.
Well,
did you actually watch it too, Turtle Tom?
Oh yeah, I watched it. Yep. I'm intrigued by making wood waterproof. I'm thinking about making some tortoise enclosures, and I think Flex Sail is going to be the way to go.
That's awesome.
All right, the legend continues.
Yeah. We're learning from James.
Actually, I actually made my one tortoise enclosure waterproof by flex sealing it with white flex seal. I don't know why I chose white, but it was a bad choice because they've destroyed the bottom of it in the sense of they've destroyed the coloring of the bottom of it. It's stained up a lot.
Did you do the whole inside? You know, is it a box style?
Yes, it's a box. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a box
and you did
with the end. It has like a cutout on it, and actually, I got it at Herbs Alive. It's a 3 foot by 8 foot closure with the lid on the one end. That the 2 foot of you can hide under there. I got eight redfoot tortoises in it. So, but I did it in Flex Seal. I didn't put any silicone on it. So, but it still seems waterproof. But I didn't fill it full of water either.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's the difference. I just need it to be resistant to moisture, so the wood is preserved. And if I do spill something in there, it'll be okay.
That's good. Okay. All right. It's about 50 minutes. We've done our time tonight. I thank you for showing up, Tom. I appreciate Bill being here. I appreciate everyone showing up, even though I got the day wrong on the invite. Luckily, we do have the same day every week. Except for when we announce, we're not going to change it, and I'm not going to be changing it anytime soon. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
See ya.